My name is Magdalini Kiki. This research was conducted within the framework of research by title Assessing the Implicit Impact of the Crisis at Work, from Social Theory to Field Research, example of which is being conducted since 2023 at the Research Laboratory Social Policy and Lifelong Education of the University of Western Macedonia, School of Social Sciences and Humanities, Department of Early Childhood Education. Our research title is Evolutionary Partners of Pressure Groups in the Public Power Corporation, which we'll refer to as PPC from now on. We approach PPC as a case study to examine public labor unionism across historical phases, particularly from the perspective of non-unionized employees. Our research is situated within a larger academic framework exploring crisis impacts in the workplace. It utilizes qualitative methods to understand how non-unionized employees view labor unionism in PPC. This micro-level exploration reveals broader socio-political implications tied to Greece's energy sector. The objective and scope of our research focus on this specific pressure group and the impact of PPC employees' labor micromanagement. Our research investigates the multi-phased role of pressure groups within PPC, especially in how they shape political decisions and labor dynamics. It delves into the intersection of political strategies, work environments, and labor union practices. Our aim is to highlight not only political alignment, but also the preferential treatment depending on political ideologies. We define pressure groups and explore their political roles and evolution, including in the international frameworks like the European Union. Pressure groups, often informal yet powerful, operate without electoral mandates. They reflect and influence demographic processes by mediating between workers and political agendas. Their actions mirror broader global and European policies, impacting labor strategies and economic priorities. In the evolution of movement actions, labor rights policies delineate relations within the capitalized economic system, reifying capitalist goods, interests, and redistributive policies of capital. Issues of economic crisis and broader scientific developments create new conditions for pressure groups to redefine positions, perspectives, and means of intervention. This union landscape reflects broader shifts in economic and political conditions, including privatization and globalization. Gradually, since 1980, forms of labor unionism have been evolving, mirroring models of representation and politics that will form the basis of what we would call the modern democratic model. Based on this point, we do not ignore that in previous historical periods, such as 1930s and 1970s, issues of labor union organization are mentioned through the discourse of unions in a dynamic that is taking shape in the primary and secondary sector of production. Labor unionism in PPC evolved significantly, particularly from the late 1970s. Initially participatory, unions once held considerable sway over management. However, structural changes and globalization began to reshape their influence, prompting a shift from interventionist to fragmented models. The influence of pressure groups changed over time, initially shaping management decisions but later diminishing in power. Pressure groups played a pivotal role in negotiating salaries, working conditions, and benefits. They used collective action tools such as strikes to advocate for workers' rights. Over time, their influence has faded, especially amid privatization and deregulation pressures. From 1974 to 1980, or 1990 we can say, the PPC labor union movement becomes very participatory in management issues, creating an interventionist hub that will continue until the early 1990s. An outgrowth of this phenomenon, a substantial weakening of collective phenomena, is that collective representative bodies are now unable to respond to a workforce increasingly fragmented by process of deregulation. The aims and methodology of our research include a unique informants in biographical insights. This research aims to analyze and comprehend the evolving role of pressure groups during pivotal moments like Greece's economic crisis and PPC's privatization. Through interviews and archival review, we evaluate how internal company politics intersect with broader national challenges. The key in-depth perspectives on internal PPC dynamics, labor practices, and historical change. Our methodology combines semi-structured interviews with archival research. A single highly informative interviewee helped us track PPC's internal development over decades. His dual role as participant and observer enriched the validity and depth of our findings. We interviewed him repeatedly over the course of 3 years, where he starts and was a retiree at the end of the research. Work and social media use represent efforts to preserve a disappearing industrial culture. By applying qualitative research methodology of extensive interviews and narrations, workers' autobiographical reflections serve as a form of social documentation. These narratives are both historical and personal, helping preserve disappearing communal and labor identities. They are of great significance for understanding lived experiences. Cinematic sources also offer valuable insights into the evolving political and labor identity within PPC. The informant reveals a narrative of upward mobility and gratitude towards PPC. His reflections show a tension between pride in stable employment and awareness of inequities. His experience highlights how privilege and systemic inequality exist in the workplace. As stated by him, I am blessed to have made it into the PPC. Everything I've achieved in my life, I've done on this salary. I am very happy. I didn't try to take advantage of situations. Not that I'm a saint. I always try to get the job done. Even now, I don't think I deserve the money we get, because we have one of the best salaries nationwide. For the workload I do, I don't think I deserve it. Always in comparison to PPC contractor employees. Notes the decline of union power and the shift from negotiation to top-down decision-making. Throughout the course of time, unions have significant leverage during negotiations. Today, their power is greatly reduced. Management decisions are largely unilateral, and the ability of unions to mobilize effectively has diminished due to fragmented worker solidarity and structural reforms. There are signs of the global phenomenon and regional favoritism in PPC, hiring and promotions, shaping workplace dynamics, where labor unionism played a significant role. Workplace discrimination based on ethnic and regional identity is a recurring theme. Favoritism often aligns with shared cultural or local backgrounds. Labor unionists played roles not only as advocates but also as gatekeepers of opportunity, reinforcing inequalities along with political background and leverages. As stated, you are a local, a Thracian, a Pontian, they looked at you in a different light. Depending on the labor unionist, if he was a local, the labor unionist would look to accommodate me, if I was local, to cover for me, or vice versa. They didn't look at the fact that we were all together and had equal rights. Unfortunately, even in our society, this happens even now. There are no equal rights. The deserving are not rewarded. It's all about interconnections. The emergence of female professionals marked a shift in PPC's gender landscape, whereas slowly and with resistance. Women's entry into PPC marked a social shift. Initially met with skepticism, some of them excel and gradually moved into leadership roles, end up being admired by men that once disbelieved in them. Their success reflects both individuals' resilience and evolving organizational norms around gender inclusion. Around the 90s, the first women began to come in, electrical engineers, civil engineers. At first, when the first women came in, we laughed a little bit because we couldn't accept that we, men, have a woman as a boss. There was a surveyor in PPC who emerged and became a supervisor, several who were in positions of responsibility, and they were very capable. and a few were also elected as representatives of employees. The PPC functioned as the social and economic pillar, fostering regional growth and cohesion. PPC served as an anchor for Western Macedonia communities. It provided job stability, social status, and economic security, reducing out-migration. The company's role extended beyond employment into shaping local identity and supporting family life, well-being, cultural involvement by acquiring urban characteristics. These collectives are rediscovering communication networks. Even amid change, informal identity-based networks re-emerged, shaping employee relations and union participation. Despite organizational changes, cultural collectives, such as local Spondians or Thracians, re-emerged within the PPC. These networks supported mutual aid and reinforced cultural identity. They illustrate the persistence of traditional affiliations in modern workplaces. Particularity found space in another micro-level of the working environment that constantly fed back stimuli memories in a condition of multifunctional social coexistence. Although PPC may give the impression of being a cohesive organization, our research reveals deep internal divisions. Employees experience the workplace differently based on gender, ethnic origin, and political affiliations. These variations show that PPC functions more as a collection of interrelated social systems rather than as a fully unified entity. Union declined due to fiscal constraints and managerial reforms, diminishing their control over resources. Union influence once extended into strategic planning and personnel management. However, fiscal constraints and privatization have undermined their authority. Clientelism has given way to more bureaucratic forms of decision-making. In this dynamic environment of the decades that will follow schematically until 2000, the involvement of the unions of the PPC workers is expanding. Labor unionists participate in planning strategic goals of PPC, control activities around PPC, determine selection of executives, redistribute privileges, whether these are training position, appointments, shift allocation, overtime, leave, etc. The discussion explores themes of identity, social dynamics, emphasizing PPC's complexities. PPC's history illustrates how labor politics and identity intersect. Labor unions have both empowered and divided the workforce. Understanding these dynamics is essential to grasping the broader impact of privatization on Greek society and work labor. Our research is ongoing and we follow scientific research on the field. At this moment, I would express my gratitude to my PhD supervisor for all the guidance and knowledge shared with me, as well as Asproulis, who is supervising the particular research in the laboratory, and of course to Argiro Trogaidou, a valuable partner in research. We would like to congratulate the organizing committee of I.A.K.E for all the effort they put in the brilliant conference. Thank you for your attention.